HOA patrol trespassed at night. With flashlights, Grandpa's shotgun sent them sprinting back. Have you ever had a neighborhood watch cross the line from patrolling to outright invading your privacy, forcing you to take extreme measures to defend your home? The deep, resonant silence of the Texas night usually brought a sense of profound peace to our sprawling ranch, the Lone Star Sanctuary. My grandfather, Silas Bull Calhoun, a retired Marine and a man as weathered and strong as the ancient oaks on our property, valued this tranquility above all else. Our ranch, generations old, was a haven for rescued wild horses and a place where I, Cassidy Calhoun, his granddaughter and manager of the sanctuary, felt truly free. Our property lines, clearly marked by sturdy barbed wire fences and prominent, no trespassing signs, were unambiguous. Then came Karen, not with a polite knock, but with an unsettling invasion under the cloak of darkness. It was just past midnight. I was stirring from a light sleep when the distant barks of our guard dogs, usually a gentle rumble, became a frantic, enraged chorus. Through my bedroom window, I saw it. 3 figures, flashlights cutting through the darkness, brazenly walking across our main pasture, their beams sweeping towards the corrals where the horses slept. One of them, a woman in an expensive tracksuit, her face pinched even in the dim light, was clearly directing the others. This was Brenda Albright, the notoriously aggressive president of the Canyon Creek Estates HOA, a new, exclusive development that bordered our ranch. This is unacceptable. Brenda's voice, shrill and hushed, but still audible, carried on the night wind. These stray animals are a menace. They are disturbing the peace and attracting vermin to our pristine community. Our residents are complaining about the unkept nature of this property and the noise pollution. We are conducting a night audit to document the violations and ensure compliance with our zero-tolerance nuisance policy. We demand these animals be removed or face immediate fines and forced property maintenance. She then held up a clipboard, pretending to scribble furiously. The main conflict, audacious and utterly infuriating, was laid bare. Brenda, a predatory HOA president, had deliberately trespassed onto our private property in the dead of night, fabricating claims of nuisance and violations to justify her illegal invasion and intimidate us into removing our beloved rescue animals. Her demands were not only illegal, but rooted in a profound sense of entitlement and a pathological need for control, treating our legitimate sanctuary as a personal affront to her luxury lifestyle. Her attitude was one of blatant contempt, believing her authority granted her the right to intrude, dictate, and impose rules on sovereign land, completely ignoring our established rights and the safety of our animals. I shot out of bed, adrenaline coursing through me. Grandpa Bull was already awake, grabbing his trusty hunting shotgun from the rack. "Brenda Albright," he bellowed, his voice like thunder, stepping out onto the porch, the shotgun held casually but firmly. "You are trespassing on private property. This is the Calhoun Ranch, not your little kingdom. Get off my land immediately, or I will consider this a direct threat and act accordingly." He then chambered around with a loud, ominous clack. Brenda, however, merely scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "Nonsense, old man. We are within our rights to inspect properties bordering our community. This noise is a violation of our bylaws. And that firearm is a public menace. Put that away before I call the authorities on you for brandishing a weapon." Her tone was chillingly arrogant, her eyes holding a glint of perverse pleasure, as if she relished the thought of intimidating us. Within minutes, 2 county sheriff's patrol cars pulled up, lights flashing, alerted by Brenda's own frantic call. Brenda immediately launched into a dramatic, fabricated account, claiming Grandpa Bull had aggressively threatened her and her volunteer patrol with a firearm. The deputies, looking increasingly bewildered, began to question Grandpa Bull. Then, Brenda's audacity escalated into a direct, shocking act of animal cruelty and environmental sabotage. While the deputies were distracted, Brenda, with a triumphant sneer, pointed to the fenced-off, newly reseeded pasture, vital for the recovery of our most recent rescued horses, including a mare and her foal. "And clear that overgrown mess. It's an eyesore," she shrieked. One of her patrol members, clearly an enthusiastic minion, hesitantly approached the fence. With a grunt of effort, he cut a large section of the barbed wire fence, creating a wide gap. Then, Brenda herself, with a perverse sense of satisfaction, grabbed a large bag of what looked like fast-acting industrial-grade herbicide from her SUV and began to broadcast it wildly across the newly reseeded pasture, clearly aiming to poison the nascent grass and render the grazing land unusable. It was a calculated, malicious act designed to damage our property, endanger our animals by exposing them to dangerous chemicals, and cripple our ability to rehabilitate them. Right after Brenda's act of destruction and brazen chemical assault, a crucial twist unfolded from an unexpected source. As Brenda scattered the herbicide, one of my most skittish rescued wild horses, a beautiful Mustang named Spirit, let out a terrified whinny. Spirit, due to past trauma, was highly sensitive to unusual sounds and light patterns. Unbeknownst to Brenda, Spirit had kicked a loose rock earlier, activating a motion-triggered, thermal imaging wildlife camera I had installed specifically to monitor her behavior and her foal's health. This camera, hidden in a hollow tree trunk, captured Brenda's entire destructive spree in chilling detail, her cutting the fence, her triumphant sneer, and her broadcasting the herbicide. Crucially, it also picked up a whispered conversation between Brenda and her cronies, where she explicitly stated, "This will force them to sell this blight of a ranch. We can finally expand Canyon Creek, and I have a buyer ready for it." The larger consequence of Brenda's actions became terrifyingly clear. The reseeded pasture she had poisoned wasn't just for our horses. It was part of a federally funded ecological restoration project aimed at rehabilitating native prairie grasses and creating a migratory bird sanctuary, a partnership with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, and local conservation groups. Her deliberate act of environmental contamination, combined with the endangerment of protected wildlife, the horses, considered wild even in rescue, were part of a genetic preservation program, wasn't just a petty act of vengeance. It directly jeopardized a critical public benefit initiative, risking widespread ecological damage and undermining a national conservation effort. Her petty vendetta had escalated into a direct assault on both environmental preservation and public welfare, elevating her personal malice to a matter of profound civic and governmental significance. Armed with Spirit's irrefutable thermal imaging video footage, complete with audio, the furious lead biologist from the USDA, and my own burning desire for justice, I was done being subtle. When the county sheriff's deputies, looking utterly perplexed, finally returned to us, Brenda was still loudly complaining about unruly animals and uncooperative landowners. "Officer, this man is a menace. His horses are running wild because of his negligence." "Actually, Ms. Albright," I retorted, my voice cutting through her bluster, amplified by the news cameras that had just pulled up, having been tipped off by the USDA. "Your night audit is about to become an arrest for felony vandalism, animal endangerment, illegal chemical dumping, and criminal conspiracy." I then projected Spirit's thermal imaging footage onto a large, portable screen for the deputies and the news crew. The raw, unedited video of Brenda's malicious acts played for all to see. Her directing the cutting of the fence, her triumphant sneer, her broadcasting the herbicide, and the damning audio of her explicitly stating her intention to force us to sell the ranch. The deputies looked aghast, and the assembled news crew gasped. Brenda's face went from smug confidence to utter, white-faced terror. "That's manipulated. That camera is illegal. This is a malicious attack on my character and the HOA's integrity," she shrieked, desperately trying to manipulate the situation, her voice shrill and breaking. She started pointing fingers, trying to blame Spirit, me, anyone but herself. Just as her pathetic denials reached their peak, the silence was shattered by the distinct wail of additional sirens. More county sheriff's vehicles, but also a sleek black SUV marked Department of Justice, Environmental Crimes Section, pulled up. Out of the lead vehicle stepped a grim-faced federal prosecutor, followed by a representative from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Criminal Enforcement Division, and the furious lead biologist from the USDA. The EPA representative spoke first, his voice cold and cutting. "Ms. Albright, your actions have directly violated federal environmental laws and endangered protected wildlife. This is a severe federal offense. The DOJ prosecutor stepped forward. And Ms. Albright, we've also been investigating reports of widespread fraudulent land acquisition schemes and financial irregularities within the Canyon Creek Estates HOA, specifically regarding the coercive acquisition of adjacent properties and the diversion of HOA funds to shell corporations ostensibly for community expansion projects. Your documented acts of felony vandalism, animal cruelty, illegal chemical dumping, criminal trespass, and conspiracy to defraud landowners align perfectly with these ongoing investigations. Furthermore, we have evidence of significant sums of HOA funds being diverted to offshore accounts linked to your shell corporations, ostensibly for development projects that never materialized, and a history of utilizing aggressive tactics to drive down property values for cheap acquisition. A nervous murmur rippled through the gathered Canyon Creek Estates residents, who had followed the commotion, as one stammered to the FBI agent, She tried to buy my friend's farm last year with a ridiculously low offer, saying it was worthless now because of animal noise. It was a chilling revelation. Brenda wasn't just a busybody. She was a criminal mastermind, systematically defrauding her own members, attempting to seize valuable land, and sabotaging critical environmental initiatives for massive personal profit, with the nuisance policies merely a cover for her grand scheme. A past incident, whispered among her former colleagues, revealed that Brenda had been previously involved in a major land speculation and corruption scandal. The consequences for Brenda Albright were immediate and utterly devastating. She was arrested by federal and local authorities on multiple charges, including federal offenses for environmental crimes, animal cruelty, conspiracy to defraud, felony vandalism, criminal trespass, and later, as the full extent of the fraud was uncovered, for massive embezzlement, wire fraud, and racketeering. The Canyon Creek Estates HOA was placed under immediate federal oversight, its assets frozen, and a full forensic audit exposed tens of millions in stolen funds, a systematic scheme orchestrated by Brenda and her network. Her carefully cultivated image as the benevolent community leader shattered into irreparable pieces. The HOA residents she had once intimidated and defrauded now turned on her, furious at being manipulated and exploited, their HOA funds stolen, and their properties facing legal and environmental liabilities due to her criminal actions. Her social circles, built on an illusion of wealth and influence, abandoned her completely, unwilling to be associated with such public disgrace. Her vast real estate holdings, her fortune, her status, her perceived power all confiscated as part of the ongoing investigation and subsequent lawsuits. She lost everything, her freedom, her fortune, and her reputation. The ultimate irony was that her audacious attempt to invade my property and drive us out led to the complete unraveling of her vast, illegal enterprise, culminating in a lengthy federal prison sentence. As for the Lone Star Sanctuary, it truly became a beacon of resilience. The fence was repaired, the poisoned pasture miraculously recovered with the help of specialized agricultural experts, and the wild horses, now famous for their accidental role in exposing a criminal, thrived under Grandpa Bull's watchful eye. The satisfaction was immense, watching her literal and figurative empire crumble before her eyes, a quiet triumph of justice and enduring spirit over arrogant greed and rampant criminality. Grandpa Bull, the silent guardian, merely nodded, the shotgun now safely back on its rack. What's your take on this? When someone so brazenly abuses power, commits felony vandalism, endangers animal lives, attempts illegal chemical sabotage, and engages in widespread fraud, does their complete and utter downfall, even to federal prison, truly serve justice? Or is there a point where the consequences become too extreme?